When you've had the experience where you've had something new happen in your life, you've gotten a new job, you had more responsibility, you may have come into a lot of money, I don't know, you might have had uh, some sort of an epiphany that allowed you to experience something differently. And all of a sudden, you can kind of see the world through a new lens. You're excited, you're fascinated, you're motivated, you're just in it, and everything feels really, really good. Well, that's because there's a whole bunch of cool neurochemicals that are all coming together. You've got some norepinephrine that's really increasing focus. You've got some dopamine that's helping you to feel novelty and motivation. Then you've got things like acetylcholine that are helping you learn very, very quickly. And then you've got floating oxytocin that allows you to feel safe, feel connected with people. And all of these things come together in a really cool way that actually quiets down the default mode network so you don't have so much internal judgment and rumination and internal narratives. It helps the salience network to focus on really what's important to you. The prefrontal cortex kind of quiets down and just focuses in on one thing. And then you'll end up kind of hitting this experience where things start to slip, they start to drift. And it's not a matter of self-sabotage. It's not a matter of kind of undercutting yourself. It has a very, very firm neurophysiological and neurochemical foundation where it takes a lot of extra metabolic energy to sustain a new state, to sustain a new way of being, that we kind of can go through these cycles where we've got more access to resources, but then when the system ends up kind of going to a place where we run into a prediction error where our brain is saying, hey, do I actually have the metabolic capacity to sustain this state that I'm in? And then after the brain starts saying, oh, this is a little bit of work, the dopamine starts destabilizing, the novelty wears off, the norepinephrine decreases and is replaced by cortisol increasing. So we start to feel more stress. It takes more effort. And then our brain ends up just wanting to drop back into what's familiar. So our oxytocin levels tend to stabilize and kind of go back to what our normal relational patterns are. And then something really interesting happens where we actually release GABA. And GABA is generally used, it's known to reduce anxiety, it's known to kind of calm down the brain, and it inhibits a lot of this excited, activated state. And it drops us down into more of this baseline state. It dulls everything. Feels okay, feels good overall, but it causes us to not have access to that same level of excitement, and it shuts down a lot of metabolic activity. And so then we'll go through a progression where things just continue to get more and more challenging until we just kind of settle in to the way that we once were: old patterns, old habits, old behaviors, old thoughts. And unfortunately, this can contribute to what we believe about ourselves, how we think about ourselves, what we feel is capable. So the next time a novel experience happens, or we have an epiphany, we have something that we're showing up to, it makes it a lot harder for us to actually accept that this time is going to be different. This time we can truly engage, shift, and change, and we can become the person that we really want to become. So how do you combat this? How do you work with this? And it really comes down to needing to increase the nervous system's capacity to sit with discomfort. Now, that's not power struggling your way through. It's not white knuckling your way through. That'll do the opposite. That'll throw you back into dopamine seeking behaviors that end up generally causing a lot more shame, guilt, discomfort. Instead, really truly being able to increase the nervous system's capacity to hold tension, hold unpredictability, hold uncertainty, and recognize, all right, things are going to be okay. And this comes in where it's a lack of attachment to the internal narrative. We can watch our internal story, we can experience our internal story, but we're not bought into the movie that's playing in the theater of our mind. We can observe it with neutrality. We can engage and we can be entertained by it, but we're not attached to the plot line and what comes out on the other side. And the more that we can actually exercise that, practice that, you can train the nervous system. You can train your nervous system to have more capacity, to hold more uncertainty, and to bring curiosity to it so that you are able to then shift out of the current states and traits that you are normally in and actually become this next level version of yourself that can handle the stressors, that can handle the intensity, that has the capacity to be able to hold empathy and compassion in parenting relationships and relationships with spouse, others, whoever. Also, being able to then tolerate the stress in life that allows you to pursue the things that you are really excited about and stop with the internal narratives that we internalize as our identity, that we internalize as saying, I'm not capable. I can't do this. I failed the last time. I'm going to fail again. But if you increase the capacity of your nervous system, that internal narrative quiets down, curiosity spikes, there's possibility. You can move towards the things that are truly valuable to you.